You may have watched my video on how to stop manipulation, and you learned the technique, and then the moment came. The manipulation showed up right on schedule, and your mouth didn't move, but you froze. You smiled, and you said, "It's fine." And that is not a failure of willpower, and it doesn't mean that the technique doesn't work. What it means is something older took over. Now, this is part 2 of the series, and in the next few minutes, I will show you why the freeze happens, a real scenario of what it looks like in the moment and what's happening in your nervous system, as well as 4 practical shifts, not just the boundary itself, that actually helps you interrupt the freeze in real time. Hi, I'm Karina Aybar, psychotherapist and coach, and I make videos about setting boundaries without feeling guilty, emotional regulation, and trauma recovery, so that you can understand why you feel the way you do and how to heal with compassion and practical tools. Now let's get into it. The freeze you experience with a manipulator has a name, and it is called a fawn response. And it sits alongside fight, flight, and freeze as a 4th survival strategy. Fawning is appeasement. It's the nervous system deciding faster than conscious thought that the safest move is to make yourself agreeable, small, and non-threatening to the person who is perceived as having power over you in the moment. Now, that doesn't mean that they do, but your nervous system is perceiving them as such. So you want to keep the peace. And here's what matters clinically. Fawning isn't weakness or a manipulation tactic itself, and it is not a personality trait. It is a learned survival adaptation. And for a lot of you watching, it wasn't learned in the relationship you are dealing with now. It was learned decades earlier, probably, in a home where staying safe meant staying useful, staying calm and quiet, or staying tuned into someone else's mood before your own needs ever got a turn. Now, let's say if you grew up as a child who managed a parent's emotions, who kept the peace at home, and you became the emotional regulator in a household that should have been regulating you, then this may be parentification. And parentification trains the fawn response with brutal efficiency. A child who learns that their own boundary, their own no, their own discomfort could destabilize an unstable adult, then that child learns to skip the boundary altogether and go straight into accommodating. And that skip becomes automatic. It becomes so fast that it doesn't register as a choice. So when you are an adult standing in front of a manipulator using the exact tactic you just learned to name, then you freeze instead of using the technique. And you are not failing the technique. You are colliding with a survival strategy that once kept you safe, and it's still running the exact same code. Does that make sense? So let's make this concrete. Let's say that a coworker takes credit for your work in a meeting in front of your boss. You know exactly what you would say if you were coaching a friend through this. But in the moment, here's what actually happens if you freeze. Your chest probably tightens and your face goes warm. And instead of the boundary, you hear yourself saying, "Oh, well, we kind of worked on it together," smoothing it over before anyone ever notices that you're upset. And that's the fawn response in real time. So notice what happened. You didn't consciously decide to protect the coworker's comfort over your own credit, but your body made that call in under 1 second. The same way it might have once made the call to smooth over a parent's bad mood before it could escalate. The meeting isn't the danger. The pattern is decades old, and the coworker just happened to trigger it. And the same thing can happen with a partner, a romantic one. In fact, any type of relationship. And this is why willpower alone does not fix this. You need to recognize the moment while it's happening, which is exactly what we're covering next. This is where polyvagal theory gives us the missing piece. When your nervous system detects a threat cue, and manipulation absolutely registers as a threat cue, even if it's subtle, your body doesn't wait for your prefrontal cortex to write a clever sentence. It drops it into whatever survival strategy is most practiced. And for a lot of you, that groove was carved so early and so deep that fawning fires before language does. So you struggle to articulate how you are truly feeling, in fact, even to identify it immediately, but you immediately freeze and fawn, potentially. So that's neuroception at work. Your body scanning for danger below the level of conscious thought and routing you toward the response that kept you alive before. The freeze isn't you being unprepared. It's your body being extremely well prepared for a different war. So what do you do with this? 4 things, and none of them are about trying harder to remember the script. This is why I would encourage you to pace yourself and remember that you cannot expect yourself to react or to respond in a way that you have not been trained to and that is unfamiliar to you. This requires practice and getting comfortable with the discomfort of setting a boundary and holding it. So first, you widen the gap between the trigger and the response. The boundary technique fails under pressure because you're trying to access a new skill inside an old activated body. So practice the sentence when you are calm out loud in your body, not just in your head. So it has a physical memory to draw on and not just a cognitive one. Second, you build a bridge phrase. What do we mean by that? You don't need the full boundary in the moment. You need one sentence that buys you and your nervous system some time to come back online. Something like, I'll need a minute before I respond to that. Just say it out loud, say it to yourself. And that is not you not being efficient or weak. That's actually regulation and very important actually in order to learn to set boundaries without guilt and to sit with the discomfort of this new skill that doesn't come natural for a lot of us. I mean, it took me a while. I used to be a fawner in different scenarios. I used to people please, and I didn't even register it as such. I would be so accommodating and trying to do win-win, which is very important in relationships. However, not with everyone. With manipulators, they will take advantage of that. So it took me a while to be able to practice setting boundaries and just sitting with the discomfort of not over-explaining my no's. Does that resonate? Let me know in the comments. Now, third, and this is the one most people skip, you grieve the fact that fawning made sense. You cannot out-technique a freeze response and fawning response that you are still ashamed of. The self-compassion piece isn't optional. It's the thing that lowers your baseline threat level. So the freeze has less to protect you from in the first place. And now here's a fourth one, and it's the mindset shift that changes everything else. Most of you may be trying to skip straight from freeze to fluent boundary setting and then feeling like a failure when that jump doesn't happen. And I see this a lot with many of my clients who experience codependent dynamics and they're trying to move on from a breakup with a very toxic partner, with someone that is very enticing and they know feels familiar and triggers this adrenaline in them, but they know at the core that it's not in alignment with their values, that this person eventually will be draining them and will not be a good fit long term, but they struggle to set the boundary when the person reaches out, when they see social media, so they go and they try to spy on the social media, but then they get frustrated with themselves. It's a personal boundary as well that we must uphold, and that is not easy. That's why I say baby step, because we cannot snap out of these survival strategies and pretend that we're going to get it right off the bat. No. So the shift is this. The goal in the moment is not to say the perfect boundary. The goal is to interrupt the automatic response, even imperfectly. So here is the practice technique that puts that shift into action. It's called the pause and name. So the next time you feel that tightness, that warmth in your face, when you're getting uncomfortable, and that urge to smooth things over, silently name it. You can say to yourself, this is the Fawn response, not the truth of what I need to do right now. You see, naming the state out loud in your head activates a different part of your brain than the one running the automatic script. It doesn't require you to have the boundary ready. It just requires you to notice that you are in the pattern before you act from inside it. Once you can notice it in the moment, the boundary itself gets dramatically easier because you are no longer trying to fight your way out of a freeze you don't even recognize is happening. You see, the boundary technique was never the whole story. The whole story is a nervous system that learned correctly, given what it was working with, that accommodation was safer than assertion. Naming that isn't an excuse to stay stuck. It's the actual starting point for change that holds under pressure, not just in the mirror. And remember to be patient in the process. I truly hope that this explanation was helpful and validating to you. And if this resonated with you, please click the like button, and it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more content on a weekly basis on setting healthy boundaries, healing, and growth. Now, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I read each one of them. Does the Fawn response show up in your life? Let me know, and let's share our stories, because it is one of the most powerful ways to reduce shame. Now, I will see you in the next video, and please remember your resilience.